Let's look at the details of my argument for the rights of Mr. Falcone and Ms. Murray Nolan being violated. Let's start where this legal issue began, with Governor Murphy's executive order. The Constitution of New Jersey states the governor shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. The governor of New Jersey has the power to make sure that the laws be faithfully executed. Therefore, for Governor Murphy's executive order to be valid, it must be allowed under New Jersey law. I am not an expert on New Jersey law, so let's assume that the law allows the governor to issue such an executive order. There's still one very serious problem with that mandate. It deprives people of both their liberty and the property they have in their own body without due process of law, which is defined as an established course for judicial proceedings or other governmental activities designed to safeguard the legal rights of the individual. Blanket mandates, such as those issued by the state of New Jersey, violate due process because they do not safeguard the rights of the individual. There is no requirement someone to be shown to have COVID-19, nor that they are contagious before their liberty is infringed. As shown earlier in this article, the assumptions that supported the mask mandates were not based on rigorous scientific studies, but unsubstantiated statements from government agencies that do not legally exist. The Constitution does not delegate to the United States the power to regulate health, food, or drugs. Furthermore, in the United States, the government is supposed to have the burden of proof before they infringe on your rights. Since no probable cause was established that Mr. Falcone or Ms. Murray Nolan were contagious, and therefore a danger to others, requiring them to wear masks violated their liberty. Also, since wearing a mask can and does have an impact on the wearer, these mandates deprive them both of control of their property, namely their bodies. Even if we accept that at the time of these incidents, the medical establishment believed in the efficacy of wearing masks, the logic of mandates contradicts that assumption. After all, if masks were really that effective, why do they only work if everyone is wearing one? Since there was no due process either in the executive order creating the mask mandate or in its implementation, then the government-mandated health and safety measure was not, as the circuit court claimed, valid, and the school districts were not required to enforce them. Now, since 42 U.S.C. 1983 states that every person who, under color of law, deprives someone of a right protected by the Constitution or laws is liable, that would include not just the governor, as the court stated, but both the board members and law enforcement as well. I'm not saying this argument would have ultimately brought about a different outcome for Mr. Falcone or Ms. Murray Nolan. However, imagine the scene where they entered the board meeting without masks. What if, rather than a general claim of speaking masks as being a constitutionally protected right, they could have provided both the board and law enforcement with a simple 1 to 2 page document pointing out that the governor's executive order was unconstitutional and therefore void? As the Supreme Court has stated, an unconstitutional act is not a law. It confers no rights. It imposes no duties. It affords no protections. It creates no office. It is, in legal contemplation, as inoperative as though it had never been passed. What if they could have stood in front of their boards and not only articulated their points in detail, but provided evidence, both constitutional and judicial, of the rightness of their points? What if, should law enforcement still have been engaged, they could show not only the unconstitutionality of the acts of the governor and the board, but their criminality as well? Again, from the Supreme Court, an unconstitutional law is void and is as no law. An offense created by it is not a crime. A conviction under it is not merely erroneous, but is illegal and void and cannot be a legal cause of imprisonment. Would the outcome of their situation have been different? We will never know. However, I, for one, have found that a well-reasoned and supported case, especially with documentation, can have a profound impact on those we are trying to persuade.